Hey guys, what's going on? We are back with another Enhancement Shaman PvP video with our weekly solo shuffle, kind of weekly. I did one earlier, got my butt kicked, and so I decided to queue up another one and play as Stormbringer this time around. So this is how it went. We are fighting a Windwalker Monk, a Arms Warrior, and a Shadow Priest, and the two healers are a Holy Priest and a Discipline Priest. So in this first matchup, we are fighting the Windwalker and the Arms Warrior. So our main focus here is going to be onto the Arms Warrior. Now that doesn't mean to leave the Windwalker to do whatever he wants. He is still a target, but getting through Karma is a bit more of a pain in the butt. And also, I find hitting a warrior is much better than hitting its teammate because you don't have to go through intervene or anything like that. And you might also notice my totem mechanics are a bit weird because I'm using the press and hold action that I did a video on yesterday. So it has a weird interaction with area of effect spells. So just keep that in mind. You'll notice it how I drop them really fast and sometimes not where I want them. But anyways, you can see here we are full focus onto the warrior. We start getting a whole lot of damage and he ends up not having die by a sword anymore, and you can see I'm using my Counter-Strike totem a lot, and then I move it a bit away so that way it makes it a bit annoying for them to get it. So right there we got a nice fear off, and then I dropped the cap totem and moved it over to the priest so that way we had enough time to get the warrior down. But yeah, when you drop cap totem, try to move it but not too far away because it has a specific range, and it's like I think I want to say like 20 yards or something. So you do want it somewhat close, but not close enough to where they can just melee it. They have to use some sort of ranged attack, or they have to run over and hit it. You never know. But anyways, here, myself and the warrior. Now, my idea here was to go after the monk, and the reason why is I hate going after shadow priests. They're very tanky, and they're very annoying and slippery to hit, right? So they have fade, dispersion, all that good stuff, so they can avoid a lot of damage. So myself and the warrior, we decided to sit on top of him while still hitting him, but making sure that we are hitting the monk to try and get his defensives out, because as soon as he uses karma and his other defensives, we're going to hit that monk so hard. So you can see here they're both going down about half health, so we get karma. Perfect, that's what we want. That's perfect. So now the monk is a fairly open target here, and you can see them kind of backing off just slightly, but also trying to stay as aggressive as possible. So I drop a Counter-Strike totem, and it ends up doing a whole lot of damage, and we get a quick burst on the monk, and he falls over. It was very lucky they didn't take out the Counter-Strike totem in time, and I got it when the monk was doing some light bursting. So here, myself and the monk, we are fighting the Arms Warrior and the Shadow Priest. Same situation here is I want to go after the warrior as much as possible, mainly because I find him an easier target. Now, it did turn out that they were watching me very close, and I thought they'd be focusing me, but it seems like they are slightly onto the monk as well. So they're not really giving us much room to breathe. And I get feared here. Now, I could have trinketed and tremored. That would have possibly been better, but I don't know. I was a bit scared because I am taking a lot of damage. And the warrior here knows I want to pull him around the corner. I get pain suppression, so he instantly backs off. And there is the Light's Hope or whatever. I don't know what it's called. Ray of Hope? Yeah, that one. So he gets topped off real quick. No issues there. And I see the priest kind of hiding in the corner. And we're kind of getting ready to hit him. I get a huge amount of value on that Counter-Strike. You can just see it zapping everybody. Big damage there. Everybody's kind of half health. And this is where it kind of gets weird. So we are still on the warrior, and I moved to double stun the two priests. And the monk does a nice job taking out that Siphene because I wasn't even aware of it at that moment. So the priest grips me over. Kind of a weird one, but you know what? It worked out. I'm still hitting the warrior, hitting him as hard as I can. The priest is over there. I use a lasso, and then I walk up and interrupt the priest. Perfect. And then I'm trying to pull the warrior away from the priest as much as I can, so that way the priest has to move out into a bit more danger zone, or the monk can use some sort of CC and get him away. So here the priest runs in, and their holy priest also runs in and gets double stunned. It was really weird. So the shadow priest ran over to fear our healer, but the Holy Priest ran into, I'm not really sure, into his warrior teammate, and then they got double stunned. It was kind of weird. It's kind of weird. But anyways, onto this match is the same as before. Myself and the Shadow Priest versus the Arms Warrior and the Windwalker. So this time around, I thought they were going to be focusing on me, more or less. So I tried to stay a little bit farther back, trying to not get cleaved as much as I can. But obviously, you know, being a melee class, it's very difficult to do that. So my main focus here is going to be on the warrior like we had last time. Not worry too much about the monk, but again, he's still a potential target. So I walk over here, get a hex, but I think he faded it. I'm not too sure, but it missed. Either way, it missed. So we're hitting the warrior. He uses die by sword. Like, okay, so I have Counter-Strike Totem, move it over, and then the monk uses Crackling Jade. I get feared. There's not much I can do about this. Got no Dispel, got no Trinket. And the healer goes ahead and uses Void Tendrils on me, so I have to kill that. And then I can get back in there and try and hit this warrior. But here's where an unfortunate part is. When you have Ray of Hope, no healing or anything does anything. So the priest used Life Swap, which basically just put them both at 25% HP. And then it does heal the Shadow Priest eventually, but it's just not enough. And then they get double killed here, which is quite unfortunate. I did drop Counter-Strike Totem hoping to reverse it, but I just couldn't get any damage out whatsoever. So I was a bit useless that round. Now here, myself and the Windwalker, Warrior Shadow Priest. Our main goal, same thing, but he's going full bore into the Shadow Priest this time. So we're going to try and hit him as much as possible. And I'm going to keep an eye on this warrior. You can see he's really shutting me down. I haven't bursted or anything, and I've been hit with every sort of CC, so I go ahead, pop everything. And I think he died by the swords this, or maybe he just eats it. I'm not sure. I think he's just eating it. And then I quickly switch to the Shadow Priest to see if I can't get any form of defensive out of anyone, right? But the worst part about the Ascendance thing is the Thorm's Invocation. It keeps switching into Chain Lightning, which is a huge DPS loss, which really sucks. So here, I tried to get a stun, and that's, like I mentioned, the weird thing with the totem. So I tried to do that, and it missed completely, which really sucks. So get back onto the Shadow Priest, get connected, and this is where another overlap happened. He gripped right as I used Burrow too, so it's just very unfortunate. Go ahead and kill the Siphene, get back in there trying to hit everybody. I still have Stone Bulwark, so I still have a bit of defense. There's the die by the sword from the warrior, so I'm like, okay, time to back off. I tried to go for a hex. The warrior charged and got me. And this was really weird. I used Thunderstorm, but he didn't get knocked, so I'm not sure what happened there, but I end up falling over, which is quite unfortunate. And now we're on to the final match, which is myself and the warrior versus the Shadow Priest and the Windwalker. So the warrior's going full bore into the monk, kind of, but we want to be on top of the Shadow Priest so he knows that we're cleaving them, and it gives us the potential just to switch whenever we want, right? You can get a huge amount of damage. So here we get a huge load of damage. Pop Ascendance. Okay, we're getting a whole bunch of defensives. I probably could have held off for a second or two, but it didn't quite work out that way. So we start connecting onto the Shadow Priest. You can see his HP dipping. He's running around. He's got Torrent. Go ahead and interrupt that, because I believe that is a huge amount of damage for a Shadow Priest. And our priest is doing a great job. I see their priest running in for a fear, so I dropped a Tremor Totem preemptively just in case I got feared as well. But thankfully they overlapped double feared. So not only did they both get removed, but he's on like 3/4 DR or whatever. So the next fear is very weak. So here I'm connecting onto the monk because I don't know where the priest is. There's Ray of Hope. Okay, we're going to switch back to the priest, get as much damage as possible. There's no point in hitting into the monk. Here the priest gripped me back because he was scared I was going to fall over, which is completely fair because I was getting absolutely dumpstered. And then we see these Siphene, so I start backing up, go to interrupt it, nothing. So they're swapping onto my warrior, which is great for me because now I don't have to worry about taking damage or anything like that. I can just go ham. And you can see the priest, he has a swap, he's got Guardian Angel. Bit unfortunate that they overlap. But you can see here we start getting them very low. And then this is where they kind of do a quick swap in a second. So you can see I'm taking a whole lot of damage right now. There's the Celestial Conduit. The monk's bursting. We're a bit scared. I see them kind of trying to peek at our priest to get some CC, which would have been scared. So I see the monk kind of dip off. So I go ahead and knock him into the pillar, trying to get him away from us during his burst. And this is where the priest is going to grip me to save my life. So I go to heal. We get the Shadow Priest get gripped. I'm hitting the monk. The priest uses Void Tendrils on the monk to keep him away, which is great. So this is where we start connecting, and this is where another burst comes in, where we're taking a whole lot of damage. The warrior gets life swapped, and I get gripped out because he has nothing for me. And at this point, they have no way to stop me, and I just end up finishing off the priest. But anyways, guys, that is it. Thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Laters!